Mario Kart World is coming out soon, and in the meantime, I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to scratch that itch a little bit. And this game was really cool. Some people would say it's the closest to a perfect Mario Kart game we've had so far. And even though I love this game myself, there are a few things that I wish they would improve. So in this video, I'll go over 3 things that I hope will change in Mario Kart World. So my main issue with this game has to do with balancing. If you've played online and you're just playing for fun without doing research on which carts are the best, I'm sure it happens to you before, to just go in a race, having a good time, but then you just see someone zoom out in front of everyone, and no matter how good you drive, you just can't catch up. So this happens due to a few factors, and the first one I want to talk about is the stats of various characters and carts. And sadly, these stats are not very well balanced. There are clearly some character and carts combinations that are optimal and some that are terrible. And to me, that's a pretty bad game design. I think it's cool if different carts and characters have some differences while you play with them, but when it gets to the point where knowing the right combination is a huge advantage compared to someone just picking characters that they like, I think that's a problem. And it goes a bit against the spirit of Mario Kart, where the whole point should be that you can play as whoever you like. And on top of that, you might not know this if you're a casual player of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but turns out that there are a lot of hidden stats in this game. I didn't know about this for the longest time, but I did some research before making this video, and I found this video by Shortcat, which I thought was extremely useful, and I highly recommend it if you want to learn more about the meta of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Already when you're picking up your character, there are stats assigned to your character, but there's no way of knowing this as a regular player. And then when you're picking up your cart and different parts, the game shows you a few stats, but they're not showing all the hidden stats in the game. And this wouldn't be too big of a problem by itself. I think having some hidden stats to add flavor to a character or a cart can be cool, but it turns out that one of the most important stats in the game is hidden. And to me, that's where it gets a bit weird. This philosophy is really rewarding players that look up online to find the winning combo. This extra knowledge makes a huge difference in this game. So how can things be better in Mario Kart World? Well, first of all, I hope that stats of both characters and carts are way more similar across the board. I know some people will probably complain saying that they don't want all the carts to play the same because it would be boring, and I hope that there is a sweet spot that we can reach where there are still some differences in the carts and characters, but I do hope that the difference is small enough that we can avoid something like this happening over and over. And when I look at footage of Mario Kart World, I'm quite hopeful about this. Usually if you look at the minimap, it kind of looks like this, where everyone seems to be pretty close together. I'm hoping that this is a sign that the stats are all very comparable. Of course, there will be a best character and cart combo, and there will be one that's the worst as well. But imagine if even with the worst combo, you can still compete and even win. That would make the game way more exciting. Next, I hope that if hidden stats are still in the game, they will be way less important than before. And I'm a bit hopeful for that too. The best hidden stat in Mario Kart 8 was the mini turbo, and this was very useful for a technique called snaking. And after watching some pros try out Mario Kart World at some Nintendo events, it appears like snaking has been significantly nerfed. So it seems that Mario Kart World is going to prioritize item play and dodging enemies in the middle of a race, and the meta is going to be quite different. Next, there is another reason why you'll often see races with a huge gap between players in Mario Kart 8, and it's due to the items in different ways. So as we all know, in Mario Kart games, they tried to give a fighting chance to whoever's last in the race by giving them better items so they can make a comeback. Players that are in the middle of the race will get pretty good offensive items and mushrooms, and whoever's near the front will get the worst items in the game. But somehow, despite all these measures, being in the front of the race is the most advantageous place to be in most of the time. When you're in the middle here, you're actually getting attacked from people in front of you, people next to you, and people behind you. It's like pure chaos to be stuck in there. And if you get hit, which is highly likely, your cart can sometimes come to a complete stop and you'll end up at the end of the pack. Then thankfully, you might get a good item like a bullet bill that brings you back in the middle, but then you can get hit again because you're back in this super chaotic zone. So what ends up happening is people in the middle and the back are fighting each other all the time and slowing the whole group down, while whoever's in the front can keep increasing their lead easily. So of course you'll be hit by a red shell once in a while or a blue shell, but it's still way less frequent than if you're in the middle of the pack. And on top of all that, when you're in first place, you don't have to compete with anyone when it comes to collecting item boxes and coins. But when you're not first, there's always a risk that someone can grab an item box or a coin right before you. Thankfully for item boxes, they respawn pretty quickly, so if you time it right, you can still get the item box, even though someone took the one you wanted. But coins take longer to respawn, so when one gets taken, it might not respawn by the time you're there. And on top of that, when you're in the middle and you keep getting hit left and right, you're losing 3 coins every time. So it's not impossible that you end up with 0 coins, and it's super hard to gain them back. Meanwhile, whoever's in first place is hit less frequently and can collect all the coins in front of them, so it's way easier for them to maintain the maximum of 10 coins and go at maximum speed. So how can Mario Kart World improve those things? Already, there's a huge change that we can notice if we look at footage from the game. Whenever players are hit by items or obstacles, it seems like they barely slow down now. And they also nerfed certain items, like the bullet bill, which used to knock everyone out, now mostly seem used to bring you further ahead, but when it hits people, it doesn't seem to put them in tumble. This change is huge because from now on, when you're fighting your way through the back or middle of the race, you're not coming to a complete stop, so this whole group is now moving much faster than before and will stay closer and more competitive to whoever's in the lead. Seems like they also adjusted the coins quite a bit. Now we can see that coins respawn as fast as item boxes, so even if someone snags one right in front of you, you can still get them. And there are also many new items that create a ton of coins when they're activated. I've even seen a pro player mention that when you're in the lead, there's actually not a lot of coins for you to collect, but when you're in the middle of the pack, that's where all the coins are from all these items and from players dropping them left and right. So I'm hoping that all these changes will come together to make it so that whoever's in the middle of the pack has more chances to actually make their way all the way to the front and keep the races more exciting. My third point is a bit different. It's not about the racing itself, but it's when setting up your game. And I know Nintendo tries to be very kid-friendly and all that, but I would love if they stopped shoving the smart steering down our throats. For the first player, it's not so bad. You can turn it off and it'll stay like that. But every time you try to play locally, player 2 up to 4 will have the smart steering turned on by default. And this is so annoying. It's like Nintendo assumes that whenever a group of people want to play, the first player knows what he's doing and everyone else is either a kid or a complete casual. So please, in the future, can you at least remember that when we turn this off, we don't want it back on again? Because this thing is actually not very intuitive to turn off. If you don't know about it while you're choosing your cart, you won't even see this. You need to actually press minus to see the stats of your cart, and then you can see this icon, which means that smart steering is turned on. But if it's your first time playing, you wouldn't even know that this icon is the smart steering. So I find this whole thing super clunky, and it happened very often that I would play with some friends, and after like 2 races, my friends are like, how come I can't control my cart like I want? And then we realized that we forgot to turn that thing off. Now, sadly, when it comes to Mario Kart World, I'm pretty sure that they will keep pushing for that smart steering thing on us. The reason I'm saying this is because a lot of people have been playing Mario Kart World at demo stations, and in all of these demos, the smart steering is not only turned on, it seems like the players couldn't turn it off at all. So if Nintendo is pushing this so hard on their demos, I'm expecting that they still think that this is a great addition somehow, and this will be on by default a lot in Mario Kart World. This is the kind of thing that even if it's in the game at launch, it could easily be patched if Nintendo really wanted. But again, this was happening in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and they never patched it during the 8 years of this game, so I'm not getting my hopes up on this one. Alright, so those are 3 big ways that I think Mario Kart World could be improved compared to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I also have a final little bonus point for you. This was not big enough to be an actual issue with the game, but it has bugged me for the last 8 years when playing this game. I think we can all agree that Mario Kart 8 has a banger soundtrack, but for some reason, the main menu music sounds like this. This track is super short and repetitive, and it's just not good. So I don't know why this was a thing at all, and I hope that the menu music in Mario Kart World will be better than this. And honestly, the bar is so low that I think it's almost a guarantee. But yeah, those were my thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments if you agree or not, and if you're excited about Mario Kart World. I wonder if some of you guys will say that you love the menu music of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Sometimes I feel like something is objectively bad like this, and then I can be surprised to see that there's a lot of fans for it. So I guess we'll see. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.